Alright guys, hope you're doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. I didn't actually have any plans to make a video today, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to title this video, to be completely honest. This is a bit of a spontaneous one, completely off what I would normally do. I normally script most of my videos. I do kind of go off script sometimes, but you know, for the most part I stay on script. This is completely off the cuff, and it's just something I wanted to briefly talk about, hopefully briefly. I don't want to waste your guys' time on a Friday. This tweet from the Division 2 account just came out. Actually, what made me kind of make this video. It says, "Agents, our team remains hard at work to build the next update of the Division 2. Therefore, we are rerunning Season 2 Keena's Legacy starting February 15th. Stay tuned for more information about this season next week." So, of course, if you head down to the comments, which I'm not going to do in this video because there's no reason to. You guys can probably imagine what the comments to this are. You know, people aren't happy. You know, I'm not happy. A lot of people aren't happy that, you know, this will be what the third time that we're having to do Keena's Legacy. But what I will say is this, guys. Look, I'm on the fence here because I don't want to be making negative videos all the time, and I do want to make positive ones because, you know, there is a lot of positive stuff in the sense that this game could have been canned and was meant to be canned, if we're to believe what Massive have told us, was meant to be canned at the end of year 2, which, you know, would go against what we believed was the roadmap for this game in the first instance. So there's positives in the fact that it wasn't canned, and at least from what I could tell here, Massive were the driving force behind that. And, you know, with the fact that the majority of the people working on this game were pushed onto other games like Avatar in development at Massive, and Star Wars as well being developed by Massive, then of course Massive had to get a new team in basically and start from scratch. Now, I don't know anything about game development, but what I will tell you is that game development is a very long process, and if you're having to make stuff from scratch, it takes a long time. Even content like seasons and stuff, it takes a long time, especially if you're trying to make some significant changes to the game itself. And from what we can tell, from what Massive have told us, which isn't a whole lot at the moment, they are making some significant changes to what we know about the game so far. We've had the 2 intelligence annexes, we have the expertise system which is coming in, and we have the changes to specializations where it's almost like feels like an MMO light, although we haven't seen it fully, so I can't say that for sure. It could be a lot more in depth, but the specialization tree as well, which looks pretty cool. I do know one of the intelligence annexes is going to be about seasons, and they're basically remaking them, reimagining them. I'm not quite sure what that's going to look like, but I expect them to be better than they were before. You know, for me personally, I didn't mind seasons. You know, seasons for me are fine in games. Destiny 2 does it pretty well most of the time, and so they're okay. But I felt that with the Division 2, in terms of what was offered in those seasons, I wasn't always happy about it. We had global events which were often rerun from previous seasons, which I didn't like. I felt that each season should have its own unique set of global events, different from the last, and you shouldn't have to carry stuff over, basically. And then we also had leagues, which just wasn't for me at all. And again, this is personal preference, but leagues to me were not great at all, and really didn't, in my opinion, didn't offer a lot for people who, you know, were really good at them. Because you could be pretty bad at them, but it doesn't matter. They were so casual in nature that even if you were bad, you would still be able to get the top reward. So there wasn't really a reward for those people who were able to, you know, to do this stuff really, really well. And I felt that the game has gone towards that. It's gone towards more of a casual nature, and I understand why. You know, there is more of a casual. They want to appeal to a more casual audience, but you know, most people playing the Division 2 now, they're not casual players, right? They are more hardcore. They've been around for the game for a long time, and you know, they want the hardcore experience. You look at raids now, and they're still popping off all of the time. If you go on Twitter, there are loads of clans still doing carries on raids, and raids seem to be one of the most popular activities in the Division 2 for PvE. So, you know, and that's a pretty hardcore scene in many ways. So yeah, so there is stuff going on, right? And that stuff is going to that would take a long time to create. If you're looking at, you know, new seasonal format, the expertise system, specializations, there's going to be something else as well that they're introducing. Plus, they're adding new weapons and gear and new story as well. There'll be new manhunts. You know, that stuff, it's going to take a long time. So when we first heard about the Division 2 was coming out in February of this year, So yeah, this month basically. I think we're all pretty excited. We learned about that last year, and everyone was excited, and that was cool. And then obviously got delayed, and like all of you guys, I was not happy. However, from what I I forgot to say about the new game mode as well. And we don't know if there's anything else on top of that. There might be. I doubt it, but there might be. Yeah, as I've said before, from what I know, it needed to be delayed, and so it was a good thing that it got delayed. And because, let's be honest, guys, you look at games now that are coming out, whether they're DLCs or new games, whatever it might be, a lot of the time the publisher just forces stuff out. Even though, the studio might not want it to go out, it's forced out because it needs to be out at a certain time. Anyway, it's all that sort of stupid stuff. But obviously with The Division 2, I don't think Ubisoft really... I think Ubisoft are given massive the power to do really what they want here with the resources they have. And so being able to delay the game was something that they were able to do, and I think it's a good thing that they have done it. And we'll see what happens with this new testing. I mean, there was testing yesterday. I think there was testing Wednesday as well. I think that's when it started. Testing today, and I think there's a testing all next week as well. So there's going to be a lot of testing going on, and we'll have to wait and see. I would hope that the feedback Massive got from the testing back last year, I think it was November or maybe before, that they've gone back with that feedback and they've made some significant changes. I think the feedback they got back last year is the reason why it got delayed, and that is a good thing. But, you go down in the comments on something like this Twitter post here, and of course everyone's annoyed. And I get it, If I wasn't covering this game as extensively as I am, I think I would do the same. And I certainly feel like I want to do the same sometimes, because even though I appreciate that this is a lot of work for the developers to do in a short period of time in order to meet our expectations, we have been let down a lot. There's no doubt about it. We've been let down a lot over the last couple of years. And so I think we deserve it. There's no doubt we deserve it. And The Division has a lot of legs as well. You can look at the fact that Ubisoft put a lot of resources into a lot of their other IPs, which in my opinion don't deserve those resources compared to The Division 2 or the Division franchise. And you wonder why The Division 2 and stuff is not performing. And it's because Ubisoft are not willing to put in the resources. It's not all on Massive, but yeah, so basically I wanted to make this video because I've seen this. I know there's a lot of negative feedback, but what I will say is that there's been a couple of articles recently which have been covered by other people. There's one actually just released not long ago, and I want to briefly go over them, guys, with you, because I understand that people are annoyed, and I am as well, and I've definitely made some negative videos. You guys don't like me making negative videos. I don't like making negative videos. Whenever I make a positive news video, you guys enjoy those way more. The interaction is way up, and so I know that that's what you guys want. But I'm also not going to not talk about the bad stuff, which is why I do cover bad stuff on here. However, what I don't like is when we see media articles and stuff about this game which portray it in a bad way and make it a lot worse than it actually is. Because at the end of the day, that's not doing any of us any good. It's not doing me any good. It's not doing you guys any good. It's not doing Massive any good. All it's doing is just bringing an even bigger cloud over this game. And what I want is for The Division to be successful. And so if we're going to get loads of media articles, which I'm going to go over one in a minute, which is false, it's not good, right? It's not good for the game. And so I'm going to call it out. And so we're going to get into that now. Alright, so this was just published not long ago on Windows Central, titled What's Happening with The Division 2's Promised New Content. And basically I'll go through bits and bobs with you guys, but what it basically is saying is that they believe the game is kind of dead and buried, right? And I understand why people say that, but it says here, I love The Division 2. It's been one of my favourite games in the last couple of years, with much as I really got into the first one. I play a lot of games, so for anything I touch to see over 300 hours is a good indicator that's one I've properly enjoyed. I have to agree. I think The Division 2, along with The Division 1, along with Destiny, are my most played games of probably all time. It says, I've always been prepared for that day to arrive and The Division 2 would end active support. But we're not supposed to be there quite yet, and yet stealthily it seems like we are. New content was promised based on how supportive the player base had been, and yet it's still MIA and stirring up community concerns. So where is it, Ubisoft? So it just talks about regular content and all that sort of stuff. It says here, in 2021, Ubisoft, or rather the developer team at Massive, promised new content for Division 2, including a brand new, never before seen game mode. Awesome. That content got delayed until 2022. which, while disappointing, was totally understandable given the world it's still dealing with pandemic and new ways of working. And again, as I said before, on top of that, lack of resources, having to rebuild a team to actually work on the game. But when the delay was announced, we were told that a reveal will be happening in January ahead of a PTS for PC players to try out the new mode and a launch in February. Additionally, there will be monthly community updates, but the last of those was in November. And then they go on to, copy the comment that they had about the PTS and all that stuff. It says, you can probably see where this is heading. January is in the rearview mirror, and not a single word, nothing to show off the new content, but perhaps more so, not a word to the community to say that it's been further delayed. And this is where I'm going to call it out, because that's not true. And if you had played as much as you say, then you would know this. If you were that active with this game, you would know that it's been delayed more. As per, I think it was December, they put out a tweet from Ubisoft Massive to say that the February release has been delayed indefinitely. They haven't got an exact date, along with the PTS and along with the Apparel event that we were meant to get in December, which we also didn't get. It says, delays happen, it's absolutely fine. A polished, well-executed game can always trumps one rushed out to meet deadlines. I totally agree. But equally, if you make promises and then just seemingly ignore them, that's not a good look. I agree with that statement, however, they haven't ignored them. And they have confirmed that it's been further delayed. So, and this is the problem when you see art, and it just goes on again to talk about other stuff, it's not important. But this is the problem when you see articles like this, right? Because players who maybe are maybe interested in the game or maybe been out of whack for a little bit are going to go on to it and they might read this article and go, well, Ubisoft obviously aren't supporting the game. Why would I ever consider coming back? I'm not going to look into it. And they'll see this and they'll take it on face value when it's just not true. And what I can say is for those players who might be listening to this video, it has been delayed again. And it was a good thing it has been delayed. And they have communicated that it has been delayed. Communication for Massive and Ubisoft has always been a bit of a problem. We know that, right? But if you can accept that communication is not always going to be there, then you be okay with playing this game. But we are going to get new content. And it has been delayed beyond February. I think I've said April, May time, as long as the testing that's being done goes smoothly. And I think a lot of other people have said as well, April, May time is looking at the window, and we are getting the Division Heartland as well on top of that. So this is just false, guys. I just don't like this stuff when I read, because I read this article. I was like, oh, there's some article about the Division 2. I'll read it, see what it says, and it just frustrated me when I read this that it's just false. And it's either that they're ill-informed or they're just trying to stir up the pot, right? They're just trying to stir up something here, and I would hope it's the first one, but then I would again question the fact that they are played this for 300 hours and the fact that it's one of their favourite games. Because for me, I don't play Destiny really at the moment because I'm not because I'm waiting for Witch Queen to come out. I haven't played it properly for at least a good couple of months. It's one of my favourite games, and I will always try and stay on top of new stuff for it because I like to see what's going on. And if I'm going to write an article about it, then I'll absolutely know what the current situation is, which doesn't seem to have happened here. The other article I just wanted to briefly talk about, guys, I didn't want to make a whole video on this because there isn't really a lot for me to say, but it's this article that a lot of people have been talking about recently. It's from RANT. The Division 2 will not receive cross-play, cross-progression, or survival mode. It says Massive have no plans to give the Division 2 a next-gen upgrade, implement cross-progression, or add a survival game mode. And this was only published a week ago. And so, just briefly want to say about this here. Yeah, this is very old news, right? I think I covered the crossplay, cross-progression and survival mode ages and ages and ages ago. I think we all know that Massive I've got no plans for next-gen upgrades and they're not implementing cross-progression or adding the survival game mode. I think we all know that. But also, you've just got to look at the track record of Ubisoft to know how they operate. And they would much rather create a Division 3 than provide these kind of features. Because for them, that is more profit. They are going to get way more profit out of selling another Division game, which I don't care what anyone says about this game. They will, if they enjoyed the Division 1, even if they didn't enjoy the Division 2, they will come back for the Division 3. There's no doubt about it. As long as it's okay, people are going to buy it, right? And it will sell well the same way the Division 1 sold well and the Division 2 sold well. Now, Division 2 didn't meet expectations, but it still sold very, very well. There's no doubt about it. And the Division 3 will sell really, really well. There's just no doubt about it. So Ubisoft would much rather create a Division 3 than add or give the give the resources to create these features, because that's what they do with games. Look at Far Cry, look at all their other games, look at Assassin's Creed. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. They are very good at selling games initially. They're just not so good at the live service. They're not so good at supporting them after they've gone live, which is why they have to keep making sequels. So yes, this stuff is not coming, and I'd be willing to put on my house that the Division 3 would be more likely to be announced than this stuff to come to the Division 2. But again, guys, this is old news. We already know this. Anyway, guys, that's it. I wanted this to be a short video. I rambled on a lot. This is why I do scripts, because I repeat myself, and I do apologise if I've annoyed you. But hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. I'm as frustrated as you guys when it comes to this content. I want it out as soon as possible, but I don't want it out undercooked. And I also appreciate that, with the stuff going on in the world, plus the fact that this game was due to be abandoned only a year ago, I'm not expecting the developers to create this whole slew of content in a year, because I don't think that's nearly enough time to do it. Even though I know nothing about game development, from what I know about game development and people I've spoken to, that is not a very long time in game development to create new stuff, especially a new game mode, especially new seasons and a new seasonal format and all these kind of features that are being added to the game. So I want this content to come out soon. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it's delayed again, although I do hope the testing goes really well and it doesn't have to be, and we should get our hands on this game in the next couple of months. Not game. Content. Anyway, I'm off. It's a Friday. It's the weekend. Hopefully I'll have a good one until the next one. Epic out.